Hello, everyone, and welcome to this panel. Very excited to be here among our esteemed panelists. We are at Emerging Valley 2024, and I'm Khalil TARHOUNI from EY Tunisia. Very excited to be joined by people who are invested in the startup community in two regions that are close to my heart, the Mediterranean region and the Middle East and North African region. Before jumping into this panel and the podcast that we are recording, I wanted to introduce the panelists. So I'm starting with Mr. Tarek Al-KADY, who is the founder and chairman of Mediterranean Investors. Mr. Tarek, welcome to this panel. Then we have Mr. Marcel that we all know in Emerging Valley and in this region, who is very active in both the region that we are mentioning, president of Emeritus, Sophia Business Angel, board member. Marcel, welcome to this panel.
Thank you very much.
We are also joined by Nora AIDOUNI from Bpifrance. Nora, welcome to this panel. Thank you. Also, we have with us Mr. Sofiane AMMAR, founder of 42 Amman.
Thank you to invite me.
Welcome, and we are looking forward to hear more about the story of this venture. And last but not the least, we have Hassen ARFAOUI, principal at 216 Capital, VC firm located in Tunisia, operating across the whole region. Welcome to this panel.
Thank you.
And we are continuing on the previous panel discussing the investment scene in these regions. And I'm going to start with Mr. Tarek and ask him about if you could share with us some insights from the angel investment scene in the region, and what are the trends that you are seeing or perceiving as an active business angel, both in MENA and the Mediterranean region?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for the invitation, and to see all these friends and colleagues and co-investors. Well, you know, recently, over the past 10 years, the angel investment landscape has significantly changed, and you know, it was fueled by macroeconomic shifts, by changes in trends, by the evolution also of the startup community and the entrepreneurial ecosystems, and what's happening in terms of technology advancement. So if you look at how investors are looking at investments in terms of cross-border, is that better? Okay, I'm just worried about the others. So you're looking at cross-border initiatives that are happening, that are driven by a lot of organizations like EBAN, like the Mediterranean Investors, like it depends on the regions, of course, and how investors are looking at diversification and cross-border investments. So you're looking at these cross-border investment initiatives that weren't as easy as they used to be before. Now that we have these networks, there's a lot of trust that has been built around the investors themselves, understanding what other parties are interested in investing in, understanding exit opportunities and where the exit is, because this is what's the most important thing. Investors are looking at the returns, so if you don't see the ultimate goal, it's very hard to navigate. If you're also looking at how impact investing has, is on the rise, a lot of investors are now preferring to invest in companies that have a positive impact on the society and on the environment, that are also returning capital. But these things have made sectors like edtech, like energy, like climate tech take more interest from the investors. You're looking at syndication also. A lot of investors are syndicating investors, de-risking their capital. So these things have significantly changed the scene. Also the rise of different platforms for co-investments and for investment deal flow sharing, cap table management, and of course recently AI has changed everything in terms of like even diligence and streamlining all the investment process from investment to exit. So I think there's a lot that has happened and a lot that is still going to happen, and yeah, very excited to see things evolve.
Yeah, thank you so much. Speaking about cross-border investment, Marcel, I want to ask you because you have multiple hats, but you are also based today in the Middle East, in Qatar. According to you, what can startups do to bridge the gap between the Mediterranean region and the MENA region to also tap into these cross-regional investment opportunities, let's say?
Thank you for the question. I'll give you a good example quickly. My friend Sofiane was with me as well when we did this deal at Sophia Business Angel before COVID. A Swiss gentleman from Polytechnic of Lausanne came in to Sophia Business Angel, pitched his idea, BI, business intelligence with AI, and that was a long time ago. And so we are right in the heart of the, so we were kind of early visionary on that. And we invested the first ticket of 250, and we realized that he needed about 800K to launch his business. Well, guess what? That's what the magic of business angels. We connected to our partners across the planet, and one of them was Galatasaray Business Angel in Turkey. So a partner, that's a good example of trust. Sometimes we lead, sometimes they lead. That's how it works. And the whole deal was around 800K because the canton en Genève does as well matching funds. They saw Sophia Business Angel as the first anchor. They saw Turkey as the second ticket. And the next thing you knew, our friend of Favio, Alex Dufresne, he's doing very, very well. That's a good example there. Yeah. The other example, I can see a lot of Mediterranean startup, especially from my friend Tarek region, which is Egypt. They see the GCC in particular as a fantastic opportunity. And by the way, all of you out there, if you are an investor or you want to raise a fund or you're an entrepreneur, please be curious and check it out. GITEX in Dubai, we have Web Summit in Qatar in February, we have Leap in Riyadh. You'll be amazed how that dynamic market is. And again, it's all about cross-border investments. Just FYI, my friend Tarek here, we believed in the Mediterranean. Do you remember? Well, nobody believed in what we're doing. And we launched the investors of the Mediterranean to link those 23 countries around the Med. So you can tell I'm very passionate about business angels.
Thank you so much, Marcel. We are lucky today to have a founder with us who will give us maybe a perspective from someone who's raising maybe funds and building something in the MENA region. So Sofiane, as a founder, if you can share with us what were the biggest challenges, but also opportunities that you faced when you were seeking investment opportunities.
Well, thank you for the question. I think you understood that we are all friends of Marcel, by the way. Well, probably in the Middle East, in Jordan particularly, I think it's a country where finding and raising money without return over investment, which is the case of traditional VC and startup, is a higher level of complexity. But we choose this first layer to also strengthen the education ecosystem. And we know there is a lot of startup words here, and that the infrastructure is mainly education. And then we brought to the country 42, which is a well-known coding school in Paris, where there is now more than 50 campuses around the world. We brought this brand because it's not only about the brand, it's about scaling mechanism. And we convinced two stakeholders locally after 2 years of traditional pitching and convincing them about the quality of the study and the education. Because coding today will be the value of AI, augmented coding, and all this new stuff that is coming. And we know that the venture capital and startup will be the first customer of the student. Then it was a complex journey from my former experience as a business angel and a traditional startup investor. Going to a non-profit operation in EdTech is kind of more complex than a traditional, because you don't have to prove any return over investment. But in the same time, we observe that there is also some shifting in the mentality and the mindset. And now there's a huge trend locally, not only in Jordan, but 42, for example, we just recently opened in Beirut, that these infrastructure of talented coders and talented AI augmented coders will be the new value, the golden value for the next coming months and year. And then there is a better, let's say, quality of raising fund locally, and hope things that will be more and more soft in the coming years. The second level of the ROE, or the return of our investment, we are working now on the second level of the school, which is mainly an incubator of startups, and working with venture capital to create the vehicle locally.
Thank you so much, Sofiane. I maybe speaking about coders and their importance in the region, and we're seeing a lot of edtechs in the ecosystem. Maybe we'll touch on how to scale these startups in edtech and make them like regional champions. Now, Hassen, over to you, and congratulations for what you're doing in the region with 216 Capital. I know we ask you a lot, what do you look for, or what are the factors that you consider when talking about startups, but I want to ask you maybe specifically for startups from the EMEA region, what do you look exactly at these startups and how it's different from startups from other regions?
Okay, thank you for the question. So thank you for the invitation, and I'm very glad to be here for the second time. So for me, scaling from local market to the EMEA market, like from North Africa to this market, requires a throughout evaluation that goes beyond the conventional dimension or factors that we all know, like great team, good idea, huge market. At 216 Capital, for instance, we adopt a nuanced approach focusing on additional dimension. Firstly, we emphasize the scope of the problem. Is it a local problem? Is it a regional challenge or a global pain? It's very important. The universality of the problem is a key for the growth trajectory of the startups. Secondly, the market and cultural awareness. You have to be aware about this difference. You know, in our market, especially in Africa, our markets are diverse, with stark difference in cultural approach, in customer behavior, and in purchasing habits. And the startup must be aware of this and must adapt with localized offering, like strategic partnership, regional-specific marketing strategy. And this leads to another factors, which is very important, a clear and achievable roadmap. You have to have, like a startup in our market, must articulate between plans tailored for each market. For example, fintech startups may prioritize like market with the same legal complexities before venturing into those markets with the more complexities like Europe or South Africa. And another important factor, which is the legal complexities. Like we have fragmented, challenging legal environment here in our marketing, especially in North Africa. And the startup must be able to mitigate this kind of risk and to establish a strong network, because this network not only helps the startup in the operational side, but also to mitigate the legal and bureaucratic hurdles. And finally, the most important thing for me, the capital efficiency. Like startups in our market in North Africa has a huge competitive advantage. They can leverage on the high-skilled talent at a lower cost, and this gives you a good competitive advantage in terms of sustainability and survival.
Thank you so much, Hassen. Talking about, again, investment in both regions, today we are lucky to have you, Nora, to talk about Bpifrance, who I think a very famous, great track record, an innovative way of matching funds with other institutional funds and supporting startups. So how does Bpifrance approach cross-Mediterranean investment, and what are the opportunities that you see in working with whether French startups that are going international or also international companies, startups setting up their businesses in France?
Thank you, Khalil. Indeed, the international synergies are essential for driving innovation and also resilience. And in this aim, Bpifrance is acting as a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs. First of all, to support international investment program. And we have the example with the Averest Africa program, which is a funds of funds with our partners funds as Africa Invest, Mediterranean Capital, SP Capital. And the aim is to support the African companies in this funds on funds activity. This program is co-managed with Proparco also. And we try to connect these companies with the French ecosystem. And to connect also and making some cross-border networking, we have a very famous in Bpifrance networking platform, which name is Euroquity. And the aim is to connect startups, SMEs, all types of size of companies with investors and business angels. So this is for the part of investment partnership abroad. But Bpifrance also supporting international innovation program. I can illustrate it with the collaboration that we have with Open Startup Tunisia, founded by Uda Hosi. And the aim of this program is really to share the expertise of Bpifrance and OST for specific program, for example, GROW program, which is a program that supports advanced startups, Pan-African one, to help them to raise their first million. So this is very important for us to work with OST to see how we can create opportunities of networking, expose them to the French tech ecosystem, and also making some preparation for the pitch and fundraising aspects. And to finish, we have also in this innovation kind of activities. This year, we inaugurate our first innovating matchmaking with OCP Group, Moroccan big group, to trying to see which French companies could be very active for co-innovation, co-development, and also co-investment with the group OCP in the fields of agri-tech and renewable energy. So we try to open all the doors abroad with our partners in innovation and in investments.
Great, thank you so much, and congrats again for the work you're doing. Back to you, Tarek. About we listened even earlier in the panel, and we heard about it a lot in the pitching session. The trust between the investors, especially angel investors and startups, and before setting up or building this trust. Startuppers need to attract and engage the angel investors. So, according to you, what are the strategies that you recommend for startups to reach this goal of attracting and engaging the angel investors?
That's a very important question, and I think it's a little bit tricky for some people. But when startups are raising capital from angels specifically, this is the first investor who's outside of the friends and family zone. So there needs to be a certain kind of relationship between the startup and the investor that is different. So first of all, startups need to be looking at smart capital. They're not just looking for funding. They're looking for an investor that can give them the capital, yes, but also give them access to his network and to his knowledge and areas of expertise. So you need to be looking at the different kind of investors who would properly fit this criteria. This is the first checkbox. The second one is that this is some kind of partnership. So you need to look at it from a perspective of, a long-term one. So it's not just someone that's giving you money and knowledge and that's it. So this is the second thing. The third part is how to pitch, how to approach your investor, because the most important thing for startups is to highlight the problem that they're solving. Most of the people, most pitches that you're looking at what they are doing, but they're not addressing why are they doing that. Because most startups fail because there's no market need. So actually, statistically, 90% of startups fail globally. 38% out of these 90% fail not because of capital, but because of lack of market need. So they need to start with a problem. You need to really highlight the problem that you're solving. your solution and why is your solution better, faster, cheaper, what's your value proposition, and that you have the team that is able to actually come up with the solution or actually, you know, conclude that in a way that has traction. So these are the first three things in the pitch. And of course, you know, investors don't invest in ideas, angels don't invest in ideas, they invest in companies that are already operating. Yes, you could be early stage, but you need to show that there is some kind of traction. Whatever traction there is, but you need to show the traction. So once you have all these components, there's still, you need one more, you know, ingredient, which is the storytelling. A lot of people are actually checking all these boxes, but they're unable to engage in a nice, compelling, well-packaged story, because we're at the end of the day, we're humans. And we, you know, emotionally engage with a nice story, and then eventually you'll be able to validate everything, because your first pitch is to get the investor excited about what you're doing. Yeah. So you need to show passion about what you're doing, resilience, you know, you're giving it all your efforts, and then everything else will get validated. But, you know, this is just my thought around that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for placing storytelling at the end, because we also meet sometimes some wannabe entrepreneurs who are good at storytelling, but they don't have the 5 elements that you mentioned.
You get surprised when you do the diligence that most of this story is not really how it is. But, you know, of course, we look at, you're investing in people, so you need to be transparent, you need to be ethical about everything, because at the end of the day, this is not just, you know, a one-time engagement. It's quite a long-term one.
Long-term one, yeah. Thank you so much. Marcel, yesterday we were delivering a training on investment readiness, and you also emphasized on the importance of storytelling. But at some point also you showed the slide when you're putting like logos of 5 or 6 business engine networks, and I think you are the person here to tell us about the importance of the role of these group of people in supporting entrepreneurs in both the regions, and what is the role of these business angel associations, networks you are involved in, or in general in the regions?
Business angel, there's the word business and there's the word angel. So I consider myself more an angel than focusing on the business. Why? For 25 years, there's an element that we never mention among ourselves. It's called luck. And I always say to both my friends at business angels and entrepreneurs, you can work very hard, you can have an amazing team, you can have a market fit, but sometimes luck has it. If I look in the room, I work with Edgardo on a Series A startup in the US. We're not going to tell you which year. That's why I don't have hair. His hair is gray. Where in 4 years, we went from 0 to 1.7 billion. And then we went IPO on the NASDAQ. That was very fortunate. And then we got acquired by Lucent, 21 billion. That's one of them. The last one I did was airspace. It's Wi-Fi. It's after the crash, 2001. Wi-Fi for the enterprise. We kicked Cisco in the butts, and they looked at us and say, hey, you're giving us a hard time. And they bought us for 1.7 billion. And that ended up in Cisco. Why am I saying all this? Network, network, network. I always insist on this sentence. I think all my friends, they hear me loud about this, and I can give you an example. EBAN sent me to Georgia for the first time. I don't know even to speak Georgian. I came first time in Tbilisi, and there was a pitch competition. This amazing Georgian entrepreneur, 27, a new generation of farmer, got some land from his parents, and he decided he's a techie. He wants to do an amazing stuff on a marketplace, putting agronomists matching with farmers around the world. Company called Agronet. I was so impressed, I invited him, thanks to Monsieur Edgardo da Fonseca, to our International Venture Academy in Sophia, Antipolis. And guess what? What happened there instantly? He got recognized by a wider cohort of investors. It didn't stop that. Some Georgian expat in the US, big VC, saw his pitch on YouTube. They called him back to the US, and he got $3.5 million. So, to your point, we are the connectors. And so I look at both investors and I look at founders. Connect, network, because you don't know how life can change impactfully just at the right time, meeting the right person that can open the door. I can tell you thousands of stories like this.
Thank you, Marcel, for these examples and for giving us a real concrete example on storytelling as well. You're very good at that, and thank you so much, Sofiane. So you are building the next generation of coders in Jordan, and also so close to this network of maybe next engineers, etc. So I wanted to ask you also about the what's your intake, or how do you think that edtechs, for example, as a specific segment in the startup in the region, could secure more capital to grow, especially that is kind of a competitive market in the region?
Well, it is not only in the region, by the way, because we have massive problem in Europe, and particularly in France. You know, in France we are missing more than 200,000 coders as part of our just local market here, and raising funds for an edtech company. It's one of the complex things in the world today, even in Western society. Probably UK and US is in a better shape. Then if you go in the Middle East, and if you go particularly in Jordan, what our analysis and why we brought this scaling approach to coding school is that 40% of unemployment yield in probably shifting of the traditional university. Shifting traditional university mean innovation and tech. And for the moment, there is really, let's say, good ratio of Series A edtech, but pre-seed and seed is very complex mechanism. And we hope that with this kind of new coding school and scaling coding school, because I'll give you an example, in South Korea, 42 have cohorts of 900 people in just one cohort. It gives you the this energy of creating, let's say, sustainable startups in terms of number, because you can scale. And we know that the bread and butter of startup is coders and the data scientists today and tomorrow. Then edtech is a real important things to manage. And we know that from venture capital friends, it's not an easy task, because the return over investment is not about 7 or 10 years. From time to time, the shift take 20 years to create a new trend of education. But I think there is now a new opportunity with this generative AI hype, and we know that it's not only a hype because it's creating a new civilization, particularly in education. And then perhaps LPs and funds and family offices could bring more investment in the edtech, because if you don't have an infrastructure, scaling infrastructure in edtech, you cannot scale startups, and then VC could be let's say, in a situation where it's become difficult to invest. I think it's perhaps this generative AI shift could really bring more investment in the edtech sector. Yeah. Well, I hope.
Let's hope for that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sofiane. Talking about scale up and growth, Hassen, we know that some of the Tunisian startups, the second market they look to in terms of growth is whether sometimes France, sometimes North Africa. So as a VC operating from Tunisia to the world, how do you assess the potential of startups from North Africa and their potential to grow abroad, whether in the MENA region or also in Europe? So what's your thought about this?
So in addition to all the factors that I mentioned before, we focus also on legal and geopolitical risks, because in our market, these kind of risks are more pronounced, and we as an investor, we have to be prepared to handle these with the startups and to help them and support them to mitigate these kind of risks. Also, the valuation we have to have a valuation that is aligned with the context in where we operate, like with our pace of exits, with IPOs opportunities in our market, and also the path to break even. Like the patience for extended timeline is limited. You know the context. We don't have so much. Okay, trends show some trends and some spikes in funding with a high valuation and deflated valuation, but now you have to have a clear path to break even for your survival and for the growth trajectories. And also, we wish we can evaluate the luck, but we don't have this tool, but it's a very important component in the evaluation. Yes.
Right. Maybe in the future we'll have a lot of algorithms that could
Exactly.
calculate this.
It's a kind of bet.
Yes, this aspect of luck. Thank you so much, Hassen. Last question before closing this panel. Nora, so you mentioned some of the initiatives you're launching with Bpifrance. If you can give us more details about the other programs that you're putting in place to support the growth of Mediterranean startups and to facilitate also their access to the French market.
Yeah, of course. When a company decides to implement themselves in France, it can open to the company new tools of Bpifrance. You maybe know the French Tech Grant, which is support the creation phases of startups who are having like a big expansion vision, and they support them for proof of concept, for example, studies, marketing tools. So this is the French Tech Grant. So when the enterprise is established in France since 1 year minimum, now we can start to support the company to new markets across Europe, Africa, Middle East, and all around the world, to support the company to prospect on new company, on new countries, and to prospect, for example, participating to exhibition program, to making some mission, to do market study, for example. Then, when the enterprise has become more mature, we have also the possibility to support by financing the invest through a new subsidiary from the new country, and we can also guarantee all the invest made from the HQ in France to the subsidiary in other country. This is how a company who decides to implement themselves in France can also enjoy the opportunity to go through new markets from France and go through Mediterranean region or Middle East. And in the same topic, we are organizing with our French export team some missions abroad to create this connection with important key actors on the ground, make the connections, and see how all these companies can see a new vision abroad.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nora. Thank you very much, all the panelists, for your answers. Maybe to close the panel, if we meet next year in Emerging Valley and we have this quick chat, what would be the highlight of your year in terms of investment or for accomplishment or something like that? I'm going to write them down and maybe I'm going to ask you this question next year. So I'm going to start with you, Marcel. In the 12 upcoming months, what do you think would be the highlight, whether for investment or anything else, according to you?
I've been in Qatar for 2 years. I did not choose to go there. My wife went there to launch a VC, and she did this successfully with partners. But I have a mission outside golfing a little bit, is to launch the first federation of the GCC Business Angel Clubs. So it's another way of me giving back and saying, we have to have business angels around the world. So for cross-border investment. So I'm committing publicly. That's what I'm working on right now.
Good luck for that. Thank you.
So for me, I think the most important thing to succeed is to work together to develop some cross-border collaboration, and wish that we can work together because each one of us is very important, has a very important role. So we have to work together and to have to to develop a good collaboration. We already work with BP. We wish we can work with you all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Hassen. And I think really the goal of these kind of events also is to strengthen the collaboration between all of us. So thank you for that, Nora.
Yeah, maybe for Bpifrance for the next year, the aim will be to support and following the co-investment strategy with public actors or private actors. I was talking about OCP Group. So we are launching very soon a co-investment fund for agri-technology and agriculture generally. So we hope to make this design model with other actors, with them, and to follow up these actions.
This is
co-investments.
Yeah, very ambitious, and we wish you all the best for that. Mr. Tarek.
I would like to build on what everyone said here. It's co-investment, but also cross-border. So when we come back next year, we need to count how many cross-border growth or investments or partnerships that have happened. Not necessarily investments, but we're looking at partnerships, we're looking at business deals, we're looking at collaboration opportunities. So it will be interesting to reflect on what we, next year sitting here on this panel or another one on the outcomes.
Okay, we'll talk to Samir to book us all for the panel.
Yeah.
Same date, same hour. Thank you so much, Tarek. Last but not the least, Sofiane, if you want to share with us your...
Well, probably if we succeed to make an EdTech incubator in the Middle East could be great. That's part of our plan, and working with and sharing, like Hassen said, or Marcel, about networking, something that is quite important to scale. We are working now on a Kenyan project to open 42 in Nairobi. Same kind of concept, and I think incubation at tech could be the next step.
Yeah, good.
Khalil, if I may, 1 second.
Yes.
I really want the whole room to give a big applause to a very close friend of mine, Sofiane. The reason why he's not selfish, he decided not to be the classic business angel like me. I did not even believe that ROI does not exist on impact investments. So guilty, mea culpa, publicly, I recognize it. But I'm just impressed about how he radically, in a non-selfish way, says, I'm a serial entrepreneur. He did 3 startups. They all exited very well. And he went and focused to empower refugees in camps, in Zataria camp in Amman. And he's building a coding school. So please, please, a big applause for him.
Thank you.
Well, by the way, I didn't ask him, really.
we know that.
It comes from the heart.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you all for your generosity and for making this panel a great experience. I hope the audience enjoyed our discussion, and I hope to see you in this event and virtually and the upcoming events. And thank you so much again for being with us today.
Thank you.